Hello everyone and welcome to episode 3 of Project 100. It is a Sunday, so that means it is a recovery day, and we are going to do all of our meal prepping and grocery shopping, and we are about to head to the store to get our groceries for the week.
This is our Trader Joe's, Costco, and Kroger haul this week. Over here, we've got some herbs. We've got basil and cilantro. We've also got dried oregano in the jar. Had to get some black peppercorns as well. Going back over here, we've got spinach and some shredded romaine lettuce. Underneath everything, we've got sparkling water. On top, we've got some Bobo's Bites, bananas, sourdough bread, Kodiak pancake mix, some pasta. For dairy, we've got the heavy whipping cream and Good Culture cottage cheese. We've got a jar of pasta sauce to try. Lots of fresh produce. Within our fresh produce, we've also got apples, sweet potatoes, and regular potatoes. Over here, we've got 2 packs of chicken, some packs of steak, and sausage. Underneath the potatoes back there, we've got a flat of eggs, the giant bag of rice, and that pretty much completes this week's haul.
We just wrapped up our meal prep for the week. On Sundays, I always prep my lunch meals for the work week, and we got about 235 grams of chicken in each meal over top of 3/4 cup of rice. And then I've got a little bit of spinach and red pepper in the mix, and then I topped it with Yellowbird hot sauce. This is a staple in my meal plan every week, and this pretty much never changes week to week. So yeah, this is what we have for meal prep. So I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about what I do on my recovery days. So every week I like to take at least one day off, and that generally falls on Sundays. And it's just a good way to let my body rest, soak up the training, and just give me a little bit of a mental break from my intense training. So one thing I always make sure I do on Sundays, and really pretty much every day throughout the week, is to ensure that I'm fueling properly. So we want to make sure we're getting in enough calories, and especially protein and carbohydrates when we're training very hard. So I'm always aiming for about 3,200 calories a day when I'm training, and that can go up from there depending on the training we had that day and if I need to get in a few extra calories around training. And I'm always shooting for at least 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. Right now I'm weighing about 175, and I'm eating right around 190 grams of protein a day. So a little bit over that mark, but a little bit extra never hurt anybody. And then I'm trying to ensure that I'm getting carbohydrates in, especially around my training. So before I run, after I run, and before my weight training sessions, and then obviously dinner after that. So I'm making sure I'm getting in the bulk of my carbs around training, and just making sure we're getting our overall calories high enough to support all the training we're doing. So that's tip number 1. And tip number 2 is to use recovery tools. So I like to use my compression boots, my foam roller, massage gun, those type of things. I don't have Normatec boots. Normatec boots are super expensive. I have some Sharper Image boots that Lily got me, and they are significantly cheaper, and they do the same thing in my opinion. So if you're in the market or want to get some compression boots to help with recovery, but you don't want to spend all the money that Normatec costs, check out Sharper Image. They work great, and I really have no complaints with them. I'll also use some icing if I got some sore muscles, or I feel like I've got inflammation somewhere. Sometimes my shins will act up. I'll do some icing on the shins. But these are just some extra things you can do to help with your recovery, and they're things I like to do on my recovery days. The third and final thing that I will do on Sundays is stretch and mobility. Now, this is something I try to work in a few times a week, although sometimes I'm not the best at it. But on Sundays when we're recovering, I'm especially making sure I get in some mobility. I have 3 specific stretches that I love to do on all my mobility sessions. The first one being the world's greatest stretch. It really opens up the hips, and then if you add some rotations in, it can really open up the lower back and really get a good stretch throughout your entire glutes, hips, and that lower back. So really good stretch. I do it pretty much every session. The second one I like to do is just the simple 90-90s. This just really opens up the hips for me. And one thing you want to do when you're doing these is to make sure you keep a straight back, and you want to really kind of set up and stay upright with your upper body, and then just really slowly work into those 90-90s and just make sure you're feeling it on the outside of that hip. So that's another great one for somebody with tight hips and just overall mobility for runners. The third stretch that I like to do is a calf stretch. I don't know really what it's technically called, but you kind of just want to get into like a downward dog position, or I don't know if that's the right position, but anyways, I'll show you on the screen. You want to kind of get into your hands down, your feet are up, and you kind of want to bring your feet somewhat close to your hands, and then the closer you bring your feet to your hands, you're going to feel it in your calf and pretty much the entire back of your leg. So you want to put the side that you're stretching, leave it on the ground, and then bring your other foot on top of it and press down on your heel, and you'll feel it all through your calf and through the back of your leg. So that's the third stretch that I like to do on all my mobility routines. I need to do a little bit better job of incorporating mobility every day, but I'm happy right now if I can get it in 3 to 4 times a week. Even if it's just a few minutes before bed, it can make a difference. So like I said, Sundays are off days from training, but these are a few things that I like to do on Sundays specifically to make sure I'm recovering well and I'm getting my body primed for the training we have coming up ahead.